You know what? They may look pretty similar. Well, that's because they are to an extent. What's going on, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and I've got the Samsung Galaxy Note, at least the unlocked version, in my hand over here. And then I've got the Samsung Galaxy S2 Skyrocket over here. This is a device on AT&T. This one's coming to AT&T with 4G LTE capabilities, but right now it's the unlocked version that we got in the PhoneDog offices. Spec-wise, 1.4 gigahertz dual-core processor over here, 1.5 gigahertz dual-core processor on the Skyrocket, 4G LTE connectivity over here, HSPA Plus connectivity on this unlocked version, and 8 megapixel cameras on both of these. So obviously one's kind of a phone-tablet combo, and one is just a really big Android phone that has a 4.5-inch display. Which one of these should you go with? We're going to find out in the Dogfight. But first, some love to Best Buy Mobile. When you go into Best Buy Mobile, they'll help you set up your email, your web, your camera settings. All that is part of Best Buy Mobile's Walkout Working program. The goal is to get you working. When you walk out the door, you don't have to deal with settings. You don't have to deal with spending the time to take care of that stuff at Best Buy Mobile. They'll hook you up in store. Let's take a look at this. Samsung Galaxy Note, Samsung Galaxy S2 Skyrocket. Which one is a must-have device? Is it the big one or the one that can fit inside of the big one? We'll find out starting right now. So here are two awesome Samsung devices, one of which isn't on AT&T just yet, but it's coming to AT&T with a few tweaks to make it a US-based device. You'll notice that this will go away here at the bottom when the AT&T version arrives. We'll talk about that in just a second. Here's the Samsung Galaxy Note, and it's coming to AT&T, like I said, very soon, February 18th. And then here is the Samsung Galaxy S2 Skyrocket, which is available now on AT&T, and it ranges anywhere from $200 to $300 depending on which retailer you buy it at, or if you buy it from AT&T directly. Now, both of these have some pretty killer specs. The international Galaxy Note, which is what's right here, has a 1.4 gigahertz dual-core Exynos processor. It's packing a massive 5.3-inch display, and you can see just how the Skyrocket fits inside of the Samsung Galaxy Note. So it's a pretty big device, 5.3-inch Super AMOLED HD display that has 800 by 1280 pixels. It's got an 8 megapixel camera on the back with 1080p HD video recording with a flash, and has a front-facing camera, and it has Android 2.3 with TouchWiz version 4.0. Then over here, you have the Samsung Galaxy S2 Skyrocket, 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon processor. And the reason why the Exynos processor doesn't always come over into the US-based devices, Exynos, at least as of right now, does not support LTE connectivity. So if it's an LTE device, it has to have a Snapdragon processor or some alternate processor in it. So 1.5 gigahertz Snapdragon processor, which is what the US version of this is going to have. It's got a 4.5-inch display, Super AMOLED Plus display, an 8 megapixel camera with 1080p HD video recording as well, but the display on this device is not an HD display, so keep that in mind. Android 2.3 as well with TouchWiz version 4.0, and it's got a front-facing camera and a 1,850 milliamp hour battery. So 1,850 milliamp hours over here, 2,500 milliamp hours over on the Samsung Galaxy Note. So it's a bigger battery, but then again, it's a bigger display. So the question that I had from the very beginning of the review was, is it going to last that long? You know, is the display going to kind of negate the additional milliamp hours that come in this bigger battery, or will it be better all around? So you've got the Samsung Galaxy Note here, big device, and you can see I'm kind of stumbling around with it. It's that big because it really is a huge device to hold in the hand. It's got an S Pen as well because Samsung calls this a hybrid device between a phone and a tablet. So you've got an S Pen for capacitive input over here, and you can access and kind of use it just like your finger. You can see it works essentially as it would on your finger. You can see some text here from a previous Dogfight I was doing, which you'll see on the site soon. And I can type, I can do a bunch of different things with the S Pen, and I can draw as well, thanks to this being pre-installed. So I've got that down at the bottom along with a micro USB charging port, a power button over on the right side, a volume rocker on the left, and you've got your 3.5 millimeter headphone jack up top. Still very thin and light despite being a very wide device. And again, you can see when I have my hand at the very bottom, I can't reach up all the way to the top. So it's a huge device, and just to give you a comparison test for size purposes alone, here's the iPhone, and you can see the 4S from bottom to bottom, how much bigger the Galaxy Note is. Then you've got the Skyrocket over here, a very well-equipped device. Despite having a Snapdragon processor, still very speedy with little to no lag. Now, both of these devices have 7 home screens, and they're both running TouchWiz version 4.0, so you can see how well they work as well. And then typical menu setup here, though, because of the additional screen real estate, you got 5 shortcuts down here as opposed to 4 on the Skyrocket. So applications, we'll click on that and see what comes pre-installed on both of these devices. Now, it's important to note that this, again, is an international device, so there are no carrier-installed applications on the Galaxy Note right now. You've got S-Memo, you have, and we'll scroll down through here, S-Memo, Social Hub, Music Hub, Readers Hub, which are Samsung things. Keys Air, which is an auto update tool. Photo Editor, a couple little goodies in here. Samsung Apps, Polaris Office, Crayon Physics and S Choice, which are all kind of taking advantage of that S Pen, which is the pen that I just pulled out a minute ago, along with some applications that I downloaded myself. Then over here you have AT&T Code Scanner, AT&T Family Map, AT&T Navigator, ready to go. A lot of AT&T stuff pre-installed on the Skyrocket. Live TV, you got Keys Air over here as well, My AT&T, Social Hub, and then you've got YP Mobile. And more. So you've got a lot of AT&T stuff pre-installed. Fortunately, AT&T's really listened to their customers over the past 12 to 14 months, and not only can you sideload applications, but you can also remove most of the AT&T stuff. So if you don't want Family Map, you can come in here and uninstall it. It's pretty quick and easy, and you don't have to worry about, having a bunch of bloatware on your device that you don't really need. But again, screen real estate, this is a huge honking device. It's hard to hold in the hand, and it really does look like a book. But again, choice is always good, and so there are plenty of people that either may have really large hands, or they just want a bigger device, maybe a fusion between a tablet and a smartphone, and they don't want to spend the money on the two separate devices. It's always possible. So that's something to keep in mind as well. But both very thin devices. You get the hump, the typical Samsung hump down here on the Skyrocket, the Galaxy S2 Skyrocket as well. And then you've got typical setup over here with your toggles up top, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, silent mode over here, flight mode on the AT&T version, and then screen rotation shortcuts. So you'll notice the text difference, auto rotation versus screen rotation, and then of course network IDs as well. So can't underscore how different these are, at least in terms of size. I mean, very similar in terms of overall setup and the version of Android they're running, but very different in terms of size. Let's take a look at messaging. And I'm a big stickler. I love these little differences between the TouchWiz builds. You'll notice the messaging icon is very different from the AT&T one. Just one of those little things I wanted to point out. But we can go to messaging and take a look on both of these devices, and you can really see how they both look and how they operate. And still kind of same setup here, and this is a demo phone that I have, but you can see when you throw it over into landscape mode, you got the same setup, just to show you what it looks like, the same TouchWiz setup. Let me flip that back over so we can go into messaging and take a look. Now, in both of these devices, they come with two keyboards. You get, actually, I'm sorry, three on this one, and two over here. You get Samsung keypad and swipe over on the Galaxy Note, and then you get Android keyboard, Samsung keypad, and swipe on the Skyrocket. Ice Cream Sandwich Keyboard Free is a keyboard that I've downloaded from the Android market. I really love the setup of Ice Cream Sandwich's keyboard. Really impressed with it. And fortunately, there are some options available in the Android market. One of those is Ice Cream Sandwich Keyboard Free. So you'll see it popping up right here. Looks just like Android 4.0. And I've been really impressed with the performance of it. But over here, you can take a look at what the Samsung keypad looks like. And for somebody that's switching to a smartphone for the first time, somebody that has perhaps some eyes that aren't the best, this could be a good device for you. And especially if you're migrating over from a physical keyboard as well, because you've got a ton of real estate on the screen to mess around with the keyboard. So we'll say the Quick Brown Fox is hungry and thirsty for beer. Because Quick Brown Fox is a drunk. So Quick Brown Fox is hungry and thirsty for beer. Pretty easy to type on. And again, portrait to landscape transitions nice and fast. That Exynos processor performs relatively well. So we'll say the same thing over here using the Ice Cream Sandwich keyboard. Quick Brown Fox is, what did I say, hungry and thirsty for beer. Thirsty for beer. So I really like the auto correction over here. It does a great job. And again, portrait to landscape transitions nice and fast. Though you will notice that transition effect that you see on the Galaxy Note is not present here. It's more of a brash transition, which I don't care for. Unfortunately, I guess it didn't make it to this particular build of TouchWiz for the Skyrocket. But I do like this kind of smooth transition that you see over here. We've seen it in Motorola builds and seen it in some of the more recent Samsung devices, and I really prefer the way that looks. But overall, the setup here is really good. I like the way the threaded text messaging works. And both of these devices, being a 4.5-inch display and a 5.3-inch display, you're really not going to have a problem with either of these phones getting used to an on-screen keyboard. There's just ample room for typing and for making errors, and they're nice large screens, so you shouldn't have a problem at all. So let's take a look at PhoneDog.com on both of these devices, and we'll load up the browser, and we'll come over here to PhoneDog.com. We'll come over to here to PhoneDog.com as well. Now keep in mind, this one right now is on HSPA Plus on AT&T. It will go to LTE. PhoneDog, hang on a sec, PhoneDog.com. There we go. Can't type and talk at the same time. So this one's running LTE, this one's running HSPA Plus, but when it comes to AT&T, it will have LTE connectivity. Although it'll be interesting to kind of take a look at that in the review and see how that impacts battery life. But you can see pinch to zoom, relatively responsive here, and you can see that because this is a tablet, you've got a near full browser experience over here. You've got front and back buttons, or forward and backwards buttons rather, a URL area, your windows, your bookmarks, And then down here, a couple of different options, brightness and color changes, add bookmarks, find on page. But again, you can take a look at the nice and easy transitions. Now this is one of those areas where that extra screen real estate really comes in handy, because look at all the stuff you can see on this device thanks to it having a 5.3-inch display. Really easy to see a full web page. It's very responsive, and you can see transitions are nice and smooth. Now over here, same thing, transitions are nice and smooth, but again, brash between portrait and landscape mode, and I always like to have that kind of visual effect on the eye, because even though it may take an extra second, it kind of fools your eye into thinking it's taking less time. But pinch to zoom is relatively responsive here, and you've got the ability to add new windows just like you do over on this device. It's just in a different spot on the particular unit, but very responsive on both counts in the browser.